Hello and welcome to the Knock on KCLR and Scoreline.ie's weekly rugby podcast with the full crew on board tonight. Tom Crotty, James Blanchfield, Johnny Tobin. Gentlemen, good evening. How are you all?
Hiya, lads.
Not too bad, Steve. Not too bad.
How are you?
We had quite a action-packed weekend of our own local rugby last weekend. Anyway, I suppose we'll start with Kilkenny on Saturday. Win over Gorey, James. But it wasn't champagne rugby by any stretch.
No, definitely wasn't. You know what? A win is a win. You'll take it any way you get it, and you'll take an 84th minute win as much as you'll take anything. We grounded out, and it wasn't pretty. We grounded out. The game was over. Gorey had the game won. They were on 18 minutes, hour and a half. They were threatening. A knock on. Could you say it mightn't have been a knock on? I don't know, but look at Kilkenny scrum. Off the scrum, Gorey scrum half for a player of his experience, and I hate saying it about him because he used to play for us, but he probably shouldn't have made. Darren McGrath shouldn't have given away the penalty he gave away in our favour, gave us an opportunity to get down into the corner, off the line out. We won another penalty, went into the corner again. A 14-man maul, we went over, got the try, point up, kicked the conversion, game over. Gorey dominated the game pretty much from the 15th minute forward. We gave away an early penalty. They went 3 up. Jake McDonald got our first score of the game, a good score. Was badly needed. Joe Manuel then got what is probably the best score of the game. It was easy enough that the Gorey defence probably cracked. And Joe went in off second phase off a line out, went in under the sticks to get the try. We thought then at that stage, geez, we're home and host here. We're going to, we're back in front. We're going to kick on here. Whatever happens to us, I don't know what happened, but injuries as well was a big part. Gorey came back pitch, got a try. They went ahead. And at that stage was game over. Johnny will tell you, I was walking along under the post up the far end of the pitch going, no, game over. We're not going to win this. No way we can win it. I was heading for the car to go home. And next thing, we just went down there. We got the win and try. It was absolute scenes. Like, it was jubilation. Gorey knew that we stole the win off them. We're saying nothing more than that. And it was a steal. An important win for us. As one of the Gorey coaches said after the game, winning is a habit and losing is a habit. And unfortunately for Gorey, they're in a losing habit now. And that loss puts them in a dogfight. To stay up, even though it probably looks like Ashbourne might go down still, but Ashbourne had a big win the weekend against Dundalk. They got a bonus point away to Dundalk. Had my own grievances about that, how they were able to field this week and couldn't field the previous week, taking into account a 10-day quarantine that's meant to happen. But look, that's not for us to control. I think that game is going to be replayed against Ashbourne on the 2nd of January in Kilkenny now, so that's good. That's good that it's going to be played. But you know what? We'll take the win. Big issue for us now is that there was three serious injuries out of the game again last week. So Jack Nolan, his first game back after 18 months, looks like he did his ACL, a re-rupture. Hugh Corkery has broken 3 ribs by the sounds of things. And David O'Connor is touch and go with a head injury. He had to come off early. He shipped a very big hit. So Suttonians away this Sunday, or this Saturday. We're going up there, I think, with 13 players in on the treatment table, or 13 players on the treatment table are unavailable. But as I said, we'll take the win anyway. We got it. It was far from a vintage performance by both teams, but Gorey were probably the better team over the day. One of the big things for us was the last day we were down in Gorey at the beginning of the season. It was our scrum that cost us the game. This week, we won 6 scrum penalties against Gorey. So with the same front row as went down there the last day. So, these things go around in some. But half the men of Dempsey, he got absolutely. He had probably had his worst game of adult rugby in Gorey the first day out this year. But last Sunday, he was probably Kilkenny's man of the match along with Wes Carter. They were probably the 2 standout players on the pitch, bar Stephen Gardner, the Gorey's second row, who's an incredible rugby player. The two boys were super. So look, it was great to get the win. The seconds had a good game, finished 17-all. They probably could have and should have won the game, but they spent most of the second half camped on the Gorey line. But just credit to Gorey, they had Ben Horan there who was just organising their defence for them. And look at a wily old fox. Every opportunity Kenny got, he seemed to be there on the ground killing ball and whatnot. But probably if they had more game time under their belt and also trained a little bit more together, that game was there for the winning for the seconds. So I know I say it every time after the seconds have a good result, but hopefully they can kick on now and go up to Suttonians this weekend and try and get a win. But the worry for the seconds now is the first of so many injuries. There's going to be a lot of players up from the seconds to help the first this weekend. So we'll see. But look, for us in this league, the next 6 weeks is of huge importance. We'll try to get a result this weekend. We'll try to get a result off Ashbourne at home on the 2nd of January. Then we have to play Bective in that refix game. We'll come into the new year. Then hopefully we can get a few results and build for next year.
Yeah, good
build
stuff.
For the cup, I should say, actually, because it's going to be an interesting Towns Cup this year.
Yeah. The draw, of course, usually take place this weekend, but as Tom was saying earlier, it's pushed back to January this year. So all change.
We were delighted with the win. And look, if it makes Gorey feel any better, I know it won't. They were the better team on the day. We just, as I said, we snatched it from the jaws of victory or defeat.
Yeah, well done on that one, and good luck this weekend. Tom, you had a good win as well. Cill Dara, fairly convincing win at the end of it as well. You've got a bit of a vein of form there.
Yeah, we went up because going up, you'd be a little bit apprehensive, a bit nervous going into Cill Dara because they've had a couple of good results, and we know they're a team that have been improving. Game kicked off. We were good for about the first 2 minutes, and then Cill Dara kind of came back into it. We gave away a silly penalty thing. Just again, weren't clearing out the rucks quick enough, or weren't getting to the rucks quick enough. Turnover ball penalty. They got that in about the 8th minute of the game. Then, unfortunately, we lost our hooker, Matthew Donovan, a young fella who came down from the north. He was in MSD. Really, really good player. But just unfortunate. He's after pulling his hamstring and looks like a couple of weeks' job. So it's really unfortunate for him because it was his debut. He played in seconds last week, or against Tullow. He subbed against Tullow. Come on in the second half and played really well. So just unfortunate for him. It was a real down and dirty game. We showed little glimpses of our attack play, but then, as I say, silly little turnovers and things like that, little inaccuracies. We had a couple of changes on the team. My own Tom Crotty was 10. A little bit hasn't really played a whole lot there, but we've been attacking 10, and so we were probably just a little bit. He was a little bit rusty, just trying to get into the game, but they got another penalty with 28 minutes gone, so it was 6-0. But we were kind of making breaks, and we could see that, like the game, as the game went on, we were, taking advantage of any little gap that was there. We were starting to come into it. Putty Nolan got a fantastic, just ball popped out. Got a really, really, really good try. It wasn't going to be stopped. Just on the stroke of half time, then we had them all, and from that, then Dave McDermott went through he got 2 tries and he went through. So we were 12-6 at half time. Came back on, then Richie White got a penalty. We were 15-6. But we were struggling. It sounded like we were on top, but at times we struggled. Our defence was super, absolutely super. They were absolutely dogged in defence. I have to say, right from 1 to 15 and onto the bench. There was nobody. Like we held up Cill Dara on the line. We forced them to knock on the ball, and they're number 8. as a defender. He had a really, really good game, but he was tapping up the ball on. He should have had a clear try, but he coughed up the ball. Then just the whole game came right down to the wire. We were into injury time, and we got a break on the wing, worked our way down. Then we got a penalty, kicked it into the corner. A little bit of play, quickly across the backs, and Dave McDermott wasn't going to be stopped. Went in, and we got the bonus point right at the very end. A lot of it was great to see, because we lost after losing Matty. Evan Gordon came on. Evan had a really, really good game, but Evan had a little niggly injury, so James Dunn-Putty moved into the front row, which actually kind of gave us a little bit more bulk. And Connor, Connor went in number 8, and kind of the whole thing, the scrum kind of balanced up. We were starting to take scrum dominance. So look, we'd be really, really happy. First of all, to get the win up there, to get the bonus point was fantastic. We really, really, really needed it, because Boyne got a bonus point, and so did Wicklow get a bonus point. So if we were any chance of in the run, they were the scores we had to. So look, no matter what, our attack play wasn't as clinical as we would have liked, but our defensive play was superb. And I have to say, hats off to everyone in the 20. There were no one left anything behind. So we're looking forward to now this week playing Mullingar at home, another big game. It's a really, every game is a big game now, because if we have any chance of staying, trying to get into the top 2, we have to keep up with Byrne and Wicklow. Just keeping the hunt until we get the head-to-heads with them. So Mullingar is a massive game. The seconds, their game was conceded, but in fairness, it was a good old-fashioned friendly was organised, because in fairness, Cill Dara, I think they had 12 or 13 players, so we went up, and the Carlow lads played with Cill Dara, so they got a game beforehand. So the seconds now have a massive game on Sunday. They have a top of the table clash. They're leading. They're unbeaten at the moment. Mullingar second. So that's going to be a really, really tough game before the senior game. But look, you'll take the win, and you'll be happy with the results that we're getting, and we're happy that the squad that we have is, guys get injured. You're not in a panic anymore. It's not a case you just had the 15. Now we have a squad there. There's 30 plus players, and most of them can step in without that much of a change to the way the team. So look, I have to say, we're in a really, really good place at the moment. But we have to keep that. James, you just said it there. He had a heap of injuries there. That could change. Those type of injuries can change any team. So we're just blessed. Look, fingers crossed. We haven't had. Yes, we've had a couple of injuries, but we haven't had injuries that have really affected us in the way that you've had. So look, touch wood, and we just hope to belt on from here.
And it just sounds like luck is important as well in all these things. You're saying you didn't probably play as well as you could on Sunday, but you know what? It's still good not to play well and still win. So
yeah, and it's just inaccuracies. It's look. It's like every team you come home, you're delighted with the win, but you have to say, the lads are now. It's good to be in a position to say you can be critical of certain points of your game. Whereas before you'd be going, we won. We got away with it. Whereas now you're in a position to kind of say, we need to tweak this, or that needs to be tweaked, and small little it's all in the small details. And Corey be a real dinger for that.
It was great stuff, Tom. Keep the owl momentum up. Here in action, of course, like you said, this weekend. Mullingar at home, which is nice to have them at home as well after the trip up to Cill Dara. Johnny, speaking of Mullingar, a very narrow loss to them at the weekend as well. That's a bit of a pain in the arse.
Yeah, it's not ideal now, to tell you the truth, but I was speaking to a few of the lads there, and I read the paper there, and Morris said was some of the best attacking rugby they played this season, so it's probably a little bit of a positive. But injuries are killing us, same as James there at the moment. Like, you take Stevie Smith, Joe Waters, Louis Kilkine, Tom Cashin, you take these Shane Rowan, these fellas out of a team, any team will struggle, any club will struggle, and we're under savage pressure at the moment with injuries. We really are. We're just, I don't know what's going on. I really don't know what's going on. Lads are just falling away off the woodwork there. So, look, at not ideal, narrow loss, 2 minutes left in the game, give away a silly penalty in a kickable position, and you're 21-20 down. Losing bonus points are our saviour at the moment, I suppose. So yeah, look, I don't know. I really think the break can't come quick enough for us, to be honest with you. Get Wicklow at home this weekend. I think they're looking to field the twos team again this week. No seconds went up to Mullingar, but I can't see it happening now with the injury list that's there, you know. Just look, it's the tale of our season. It's been the case for our season all the time. Last minute, 1-pointers, you know, like narrow margins. But like that's it. It's the fine detail, and like Tom just said, there, Carlow are in a state at the minute where they can tweak small things. We're just not in that state at the moment. You know, like I looked on the Mullingar Twitter. I seen 2 of the tries Mullingar scored. I'm sure half of the fucking Twitter people have seen it. Like, defensively, we're not there. I don't know what it is. Like, you put on a jersey and you play for your club. You want to give it everything. I don't know what lads are doing. Like, I really don't know. To be honest with you, it's a bit frustrating at the moment. To be fair, frustrating for everyone, players, Morris, all coaching staff, even Alex Brockett. I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen. But look, they're grinding it out, and they're all steam ahead towards Wicklow on Sunday. So
yeah, and like you said, you have your break then, and see what happens after Christmas.
Yeah, just regroup, get a few fellas back. You know, just Stevie Smith's gone till after Christmas. Joe Waters is, I think he's carrying a knock too. Tom Cashin's carrying a knock from the Carlow game. Shane Rowan suffering with a knee injury. Like, they're big losses, you know. Jack Mack only coming back through COVID there. He's not going to be at 100% that quick. So, big ask on the fellas. But look, we are where we are. We'll go up. We'll muster on. Wicklow will be no easy feat on Sunday when they come to Black Eights.
Yeah, absolutely. You were talking about how hard it was to play them down in Wicklow as well, and how hard they were to beat.
Yeah, like, we were nowhere near as bad a position as we are in then. Like, we were in a bad position then. We went up to Wicklow and we got a really good result. What I would take it as a really good result anyway. Yeah. Up there, and we played them down the Black Eights. We're a little bit better than what we were then. So maybe, look, there was a change at 10 as well. Gareth Fitzgerald started at 10. So a little bit like Carlow there. Gareth hasn't played 10 in a while. So a little bit of rustiness, but still our attack was a little bit more threatening. We looked like we came onto the ball. Paul is obviously a very good attacking player, but it gives you both more attacking options out wide and then a harder runner at 12 because Paul will be that little bit more physical than Gareth. So, look, I don't know. We are where we are.
Yep. It is what it is, as to say.
But like injuries are just it's crazy the amount of players that are getting injured. I mean, you saw it yourself, Kilkenny on Saturday with us. Like, I mean, lads were dropping like flies.
Yeah, and it's not as if there's nothing dirty going on or there's nothing overly physical. No. It's just I honestly think it was a break off.
That's what I was just going to say. Like,
you can see the lads who've maybe looked after themselves or done a bit of football or whatever, or done something. But it's the lads who maybe mightn't have that football at rugby, it's their only outlet. And then, you know, you're one or two big bangs there. Your body's not able for it anymore. You've been away for a year, like 18 months.
That's it.
You know,
we're hopeful now to come the beginning of the new year that we'll have 8 or 9 lads back. And Gary Dunn's on the way back from a broken ankle. So I met him on Saturday and he's saying he's going to be playing Towns Cup this year, regardless of his fitness or not. He's going to be out, you know. So
the worst thing for us is, though, a broken ankle, right? You kind of have a time frame, realistically. A break, you have a time frame. Like a ligament damage or a ligament tear or muscle damage, you just don't know. Every person is different. How long is it going to take to heal it? What way is the rehab going to go? Like Stevie Smith's knee issue, Shane Rowan's knee issue. Like, they're ongoing things. They're seeing physios, they're getting scans, stuff like that. They just don't seem to be getting any better. Time is the only healer, you know. And if you rush them, then they're gone for longer. at the end of it.
That's
like,
it.
so.
No, it's very difficult for small clubs as well, like for rural clubs. And, I mean, as I said, we've about 13 players out injured, but I actually heard the other day that there's 6 lads from Kilkenny playing in Old Wesley, There's more lads in Lansdowne, It's hard when you see your home club struggling for players like that, but that there's players who are affiliated to the club or who have played for the club in some capacity playing elsewhere. You'd love if they were playing for us, but we understand those guys' position, that they're working or studying or living in Dublin. It's more difficult for them to play for us, but it's
well, we have the 9 and 10 in Sea Point.
Are they from Carlow?
Yeah, both played from Carlow. Both in Carlow. Yeah.
2 good players.
Yeah.
Like, just I suppose on a positive note, I know I've been very doom and gloom there, but on a positive note, when we played Carlow there a couple of weeks ago, we had the second team, right? On that second team, there was a heap of 18-year-old, 19-year-olds. A heap of them. Like the Keith Hickey, Shane Brooks, Brian Keogh, Tom Pilkington, Keane Leonard, Jay Leonard, all these really good young fellas. Jack Johnson, really, really good young fellas. And it's trying to hold on to them. Like, I know the whole thing of us, Carlow, and everyone puts in a bit more effort, but that'll only stick so much. Like you need to realise it's a club process. It's a bigger deal. It's a long-term goal. Like, you can't just go out and play for Carlow. I know I did, and I know Tommy did, but like, that's us. We're past it. Like, these young fellas are consistently going to play. Like, like Brian Keogh is an exceptionally good player. Tom Pilkin is an exceptionally good player. Shane Brooks is as tough as boots. Really, really tough fella. Keith Hickey, really, really good fella as well. Like, there's some really good young fellas there. Ryan O'Sullivan, he's actually been called up to the first after his performance against Carlow. He was on the first squad for Mullingar last week.
You've reminded me there, actually, that young Matty Hogan, who came on for us on Saturday, his first game out of under-18s.
Yeah.
And he worked his socks off. I mean, he only for him, if you remember, Johnny, we were attacking Gorey's line on a stray pass with about 5 minutes to go, and a stray pass went from the right to left and it hit the ground, and Gorey fly hacked it on up the pitch. Matty was like, he was gone. Like, only for him, Gorey were in under the sticks, and it's great that a young fella like him is there to fall in as well. And it's just the purpose why I'm saying it is just to give him mention that he's the latest one to come up from youth rugby and step up and be counted at firsts.
Look, I don't know if it's us or doing something wrong, or it's just that age group, or what is it, I don't know. But they need to know, like, these young fellas need to know that they're not only wanted, they're needed. And like, we desperately need these good young fellas to stay in the club and stay going. Yeah.
We've actually started talking about it ourselves, like how can we do it? Because the same young fellas do it for their GAA clubs,
But to see that's an issue. Like, we look, if you look at our first team on Saturday there, like, we had one, just going through the team of under 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We would have had 10 out of the 20, all under the age of 23. And the rest of them are in the early part, kind of around 25, 26, 27, and the rest. And then the two of the most experienced players, then the two whites, like, they'll be a bit older. But other than that, then we're, it's a young side.
For us, we're the total opposite. All of our key players are 35, 36 plus,
Yeah, but it's just, they're not, like, it's so hard. There's other years we wouldn't have had a lad on, we wouldn't have had those players.
Yeah.
Like, put it this way, it was 18 out of 20 players on the first team, 18 out of 20 Carlow bred.
That's great.
Carlow team.
Yeah.
That's what you want. Two outside. The rest are Byrne bred, and there was 2 and 3 sets of brothers.
Yeah.
In the start.
And that's where you have to say that's what the success is for an underage coach, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And we all love winning a cup or winning a trophy or winning a league. But when I was an underage coach, that's where I draw success from now, was looking at all those young lads, and there's a fair clatter of them that myself and my brother Rowan and Alex Walsh and Derek Lawler would have coached that are now playing first and seconds rugby. That's success. So,
we'd be the same. We have a few that I coach at both at 18s and then like two different age groups that run up to 18s. But like it's they're not. We only get so many players. You get so many players there that are staying. You get a couple. We're blessed at the moment that we have a couple from that have come through. Yeah. But there could be other years, and you'll have a lean year. And it's like Johnny was saying, and it's not just Tullow. Every club struggles at times.
Yeah,
we struggled for a long time, and it doesn't matter how hard you work. You try and get them to play, and we make a lot of phone calls asking lads to come. But you have commitments from college. You have commitments from other sports. If you can get a couple of players every season, you're doing well. You're doing really well.
It's like I suppose local to me, neighbour and parish, was like Ballyhale Shamrocks. Like, they don't win minor and under 21 championships as much as they used to, but they're still producing hurlers to their senior team every year.
Yeah,
and you're be it 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 1 or 2 lads, you're just topping up and supplementing or complementing what you already have, and that's what it's about. The fella says it's a circular economy. One goes in and one goes out. And that's if you can maintain that.
But that's what you're trying to do, and I think we can be lucky. It's just it swings and roundabouts really, but there is an awful lot of work going into between our directors of rugby and lads, coaches and managers, and just making the phone calls. But I mean, there's other years, and you know yourself, like there's other years you'll make those phone calls and you'll get a and then they just come up for a while and then they disappear.
Yeah,
like we had years where, and it wasn't that long ago, you'd have 30 lads training in 1 week at the start of the season, 30, and you think, oh, this is going to be great. And then at the end of it, like you're lucky to put a team out.
Yeah, it's the same cohort of the same guys that kept it together the previous season are still there.
Whereas this year we have a buy-in, but that's not saying like if we don't watch what we're doing, 2 or 3 years time, we could be back to square one. We could be back to square one next season.
Yeah.
So it's but that's just to look at the draw at the moment. I think. It's so hard.
Cousins and mine are involved in NACE, like, and I was speaking to them recently, and I said, like, how are you doing it? I said, like, you must be paying players. And he said, James, I will tell you honestly, we're not paying any players. Is what we're doing is we're creating an environment where people want to be involved. And fair play to them. I think we're kind of watching. I'm watching what NACE do very closely, and I like what they're doing. And I mean, if we take a little bit of it and apply it to ourselves, it'd be great.
But the thing about NACE has a massive catchment area.
Yeah.
And they've also, like, it's not just that they have the CBS started playing rugby a couple of years ago, really putting it in. Like, they're doing the same with GAA.
Yeah.
It's just, they're able to do that. They sent their minors to play in Kilkenny leagues. They're doing things to be different. But when you have the likes of Johnny Murphy, who's coaching NACE, coaching Newbridge College, watching them all coming through, you have that young lads that's playing with Leinster in the centre. Jamie Osborne. He's another younger brother there as well. They're CBS, like they're just ordinary school.
Yeah,
they had a good CBS team. Like NACE, as I remember, NACE under 18s and underage wasn't good.
No, now
they're developing their under 18s. Like the under 18s are in the top flight Premier and are looking to compete every year now. And I think they won a cup. They won the Leinster under 18 cup in Carlow not too long ago. That wasn't the case, but they just have numbers.
Yeah,
and it's
that's important.
Like, and they mightn't have. And the other thing is they have income coming in. Like they have massive amount of money there.
Yeah,
it's a wealthy club.
Yeah,
and it does help. And it's not about paying players. It's having the gear. It's having the facilities right. It's about the marketing of it and having
the small things like.
And to be that close to Dublin and having an AIL team,
and I think that's what we're striving to do is create that environment where young fellas and young girls that want to stay involved. Because I think by the sounds of it, you've achieved it this season, but you have to stay reinventing yourself and keep it going because, as you said, Tom, in 2-3 years' time, it could all come to a stop and you're back at square one.
Well, we're the biggest example of it all. AIL1, AIL1 down to Junior 1B, like so, or Junior 1 or 2B. So, it's don't like we've gone the opposite. Yeah, it can all if you take your eye off the ball at all, it can go pear shaped. But anyway,
lads, we're running out of time, so we'll squeeze in a bit of provincial stuff. Champions Cup is on this weekend, but quickly, Leinster. Connacht went hell for leather against Leinster in the URC last week, but Leinster decided to wake up, start playing a bit of rugby, and they won comfortably in the end. Sets them up nicely for this week, but team hasn't been named yet. Now we're recording this on a Thursday, but they'll be without the likes of Johnny Sexton and that. But against Bath, it should be okay in theory.
Bath are going poorly, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're going very poorly. Are they bottom? Are they bottom of the Premiership?
9 straight losses as well.
I mean, they're going poorly. You would expect Leinster to win that game.
Well, Leinster have beaten Bath in the Aviva when Bath were going well. So I'd be very surprised if Leinster losing on Saturday to a Bath team that is really, really struggling.
I agree with you. And and the thing is, for Leinster, if they perform up front, which they will, best tight head in the world now, officially the best tight head in the world in their team. If they perform up front, they will beat anything. And third, Byrne Ulster a couple of weeks ago, it's hard to pick a game where Leinster forwards haven't dominated a match. So, if they give their backline the platform, if Gary Ringrose in now in a new contract, Gary Ringrose is hitting form. I think it'll be a big Leinster win this weekend.
Yeah, was any cause for concern with the wobble against Ulster and I suppose the first 20 minutes against Connacht? I don't know.
I don't know. I think I think that's sport. Leinster, they're masters at it. You cannot doubt them.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Leinster won the definitely won the favourites this year. I think their squad is just so good. Or should we say Ireland are one of the favourites?
And you'd hope that the whole thing doesn't kind of come back and haunt the Irish teams in the Cup this year, in the sense of coming up against bigger packs, bigger, stronger packs that can dominate them in the business end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which the French teams have become very good at, and Saracens and these can cope.
Big game to watch this weekend as well is the Munster game, because Munster, as we know, decimated with COVID-19. Lads stuck in South Africa. What was it? Peter O'Mahony was interviewed the other day, and what did he say? He said there's a chap trained with a 20-year-old, a chap that was born, I think, in 2004. He says Earlsey could have been his dad.
Yeah.
That's what they're dealing with this week.
Yeah, a couple of 19-year-olds there got into it.
Munsters are masters of when they have to play with a chip on their shoulder. And
absolutely,
they're going to go over there this week. John Mitchell was right yesterday. I know he was trying to downplay the whole thing. They're going to go over there with all of their internationals. They're going to go over there with Chris Farrell back. Salanoa, the tight head, is prop, is back. What I think the biggest worry for Munster is the fact that they're nearly 8 weeks without a game now.
That's scary.
They're going to have Conor Murray. They're going to have Craig Casey. They're going to have Joey Harvey, Damien Dialande, Earlsey, Conway. They're going to have a cracking backline. They're going to have Peter O'Mahony there, Tyke Byrne. I think Munster could go over and give an account of themselves. I think we could see some stars be born this weekend.
Yeah,
it might get the
best place to do it.
It'd be nice to see young lad getting a run now, wouldn't it? Just out of the
Jonathan Rain. They're talking about him for years down there. Let's see now. He'll get his chance this weekend. Let's see how he goes. They mightn't get the win, but you will certainly see Munster blooding a lot of players this weekend, which will be good for them.
I don't think there's anybody that doesn't want to see them giving it a lash this weekend. So it'd be nice.
Start Craig Casey. We'll activate it's phasing Conor Murray out plan.
Yeah.
As Tom said last week.
You could see Conor Murray being covered out half this weekend.
Yeah.
That's
a true point.
Yeah.
We never know.
That's
Yeah,
it.
no better, man. It's a few of these lads have to head off, I do believe, around this time.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap it up there. Best of luck in your matches this weekend. Johnny Tobin was on the podcast with us earlier, but he has
Did
departed
a runner.
for home. Yep, did a runner. So best
Just
of luck.
before we finish, as on behalf of the club, we'd like to pass our condolences to Danny McAvoy and the McAvoy family on the passing of Kay. They're lifelong members of the club, knocking around the club. Danny was instrumental in moving from the old club to the new club that we have. You never saw one without the other at all at Kilkenny matches. So just on behalf of the club to express our sympathies to Danny and Shane and David.
Absolutely. Tom Crotty, James Blanchfield and Johnny Tobin, thanks for talking to us. That was the Knock On Rugby Podcast.